to the Buddhist Temple of Toledo. Please be seated and turn to page 2 in your liturgy books. Gata of Atonement, all evil karma ever committed by me since of old on account of my beginningless free anger and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thought. Now I atone for it all evil karma ever committed by me since of old on account of my beginningless free anger and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thought. Now I atone for it all evil karma ever committed by me since of old on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thought. Now I atone for it all. Nikaya 3 Refuges. Buddham Saranam Gacchami. Buddham Saranam Gacchami. Dhammam Saranam Gacchami. Dhammam Saranam Gacchami. Sangham Saranam Gacchami. Sangham Saranam Gacchami. I refuge in Dharma. I take refuge in Dharma. I take refuge in Sangha. I take refuge in Sangha. The 5 remembrances. I am of the nature to grow old. There is no way to escape growing old. I am of the nature to have ill health. There is no way to escape having ill health. I am of the nature to die. There is no way to escape death. All that is dear to me and everyone I love are of the nature of change. There is no way to escape being separated from them. My deeds are my closest companions. I am the beneficiary of my deeds. My deeds are the ground on which I stand. I am of the nature to grow old. There is no way to escape growing old. I am of the nature to have ill health. There is no way to escape having ill health. I am of the nature to die. There is no way to escape death. All that is dear to me and everyone I love are of the nature of change. There is no way to escape being separated from them. My deeds are my closest companions. I am the beneficiary of my deeds. My deeds are the ground on which I stand. I am of the nature to grow old. There is no way to escape growing old. I am of the nature to have ill health. There is no way to escape having ill health. I am of the nature to die. There is no way to escape death. All that is dear to me and everyone I love are of the nature of change. There is no way to escape being separated from them. My deeds are my closest companions. I am the beneficiary of my deeds. My deeds are the ground on which I stand. This precious human life, rarely encountered, is easily lost. Now that I have life and opportunity, may I practice the Dharma wholeheartedly. Mahayana Refuge. In my heart, I take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. May I liberate suffering beings and bring them to great joy. May the compassionate spirit of love grow within me, that I may actualize the great way. In my heart, I take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. May I liberate suffering beings and bring them to great joy. May the compassionate spirit of love grow within me, that I may actualize the great way. In my heart, I take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. May I liberate suffering beings and bring them to great joy. May the compassionate spirit of love grow within me, that I may actualize the great way. Invocation of the lineage. I give thanks for the guidance of my teachers, for the lineage of teachers before them. I give thanks and offerings for their devoted practice of generosity, moral discipline, patience, joyful effort, concentration, wisdom, skillful means, unshakable vow, spiritual powers, and awakened awareness for my benefit. May their years of life be lengthened, may their vows be completely realized, and may I cultivate these perfections with their guidance. 7 practices of the Bodhisattva. I bow down in body, speech, and mind. I offer the best I have to give, both real and imagined, to fill the space between us. I regret and purify all transgressions. I rejoice in all virtues. I request you to remain until total enlightenment. I request wise and compassionate guidance. I dedicate my merit for the sake of all beings. generating love and compassion. May all sentient beings be free from clinging and hatred. Being close to some and distant from others, how wonderful it would be. May this be accomplished. I will free them from clinging and hatred. Bless me to accomplish this. May all sentient beings enjoy happiness in the causes of happiness. How wonderful it would be. May this be accomplished. I will bring them happiness in the causes of happiness. Bless me to accomplish this. May all sentient beings be free from suffering in the causes of suffering. How wonderful it would be. May this be accomplished. I will free them from suffering in the causes of suffering. Bless me to accomplish this. May all sentient beings have the joy that has never known suffering. May they be free from clinging, hatred, jealousy, miserliness, doubt, pride, wrong view, ignorance, and dualistic thoughts. How wonderful it would be. May this be accomplished. I will bring them to this state. Bless me to accomplish this. Please rise for the Heart Sutra found on page 4. Great Prajna Paramita Heart Sutra. Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva practicing deep Prajna Paramita clearly saw that all 5 skandhas are empty, transforming all suffering and distress. Shariputra form is no other than emptiness, emptiness no other than form, form is exactly emptiness, emptiness exactly form, sensation, perception, mental reaction, consciousness are also like this. Shariputra, all things are essentially empty, not born, not destroyed, not stained, not pure, without loss, without gain. Therefore in emptiness there is no form, no sensation, perception, mental reaction, consciousness, no eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, no color, sound, smell, taste, touch, object of thought, no seeing, and so on, to no thinking, no ignorance, and also no ending of ignorance, and so on, to no old age and death, and also no ending hath no wisdom and no attainment, since there is nothing to attain. The Bodhisattva lives by prajna paramita, with no hindrance in the mind, no hindrance, and therefore no fear, far beyond elusive thinking. Right here is nirvana. All Buddhas of past, present, and future live by prajna paramita, attaining anuttara samyak sambodhi. Therefore know that prajna paramita is the great sacred mantra, the great vivid mantra, the unsurpassed mantra, the supreme mantra, which completely removes all suffering. This is truth, not mere formality. Therefore set forth the prajna paramita mantra, set forth this mantra and proclaim gate gate para gate parsam gate bodhi svaha gate gate para gate parsam gate bodhi svaha gate gate para gate parsam gate bodhi svaha. Infinite realms of light and dark convey the Buddha mind. All that is and we ourselves come forth in perfect harmony. We offer this sincere and devoted practice for the many beings of the six worlds and dedicate it in grateful thanks to the strength and sound practice of the Great Heartland Sangha and its teachers. May our virtuous actions be clear from all interferences, and may our vows be fully realized. We especially dedicate these merits to all those who suffer as a result of injustices, calamity, cruelty, and war. To Doan Roshi, Christy, Forrest, Shozo, Josh, Deirdre, Jack, Finn, Ando, Eason, Karina, Chrissy, Griffin, Chris, John, Soke, Darcy, Charles, Stephen, Reverend Eugen, Laverne, Roger, Karen, Evan, and Sarah. May they have peace and healing. And to Becky and Cheryl at the time of their death, and to those we hold in the silence of our hearts, as well as those whose names we now voice aloud. May we live in perfect peace with Buddha Dharma, and may we realize the Buddha way together. Please prepare for Zazen. We will now recite the Sangha Covenant found on page 8. We, the Daishin Kokuji Sangha, with respect for the worth and dignity of each person, with wonder at the wisdom and compassion we seek to cultivate by practice, and with deep gratitude for the teachers of this lineage and our connection to one another, covenant to support each other by upholding the precepts of doing no harm, practicing good, and actualizing good for others. Please remain standing until the speakers have been seated and invite us to do so.
Please sit.
This is really good seats up front.
Highly recommend.
Just became available.
In a moment, we'll recite the Gatan opening the sutra, found on page 8. Gata on opening the sutra. The Dharma in ampro profound and infinitely subtle is rarely encountered even in millions of ages. Now we see it, hear it, receive and maintain it. May we completely realize the Tathagata's true meaning.
Good morning, everybody, or good afternoon. Maybe I should see the clock.
Afternoon.
Afternoon.
Yeah.
Right, I was thinking more so I didn't take all your time. It's a beautiful, steamy August day, yes? And it's so great to see everybody, and especially our newest Raksus here today after the Jukai ceremony last week. Good to see you all. We're going to talk today about summer practice and how summer practice has been. from each of our own worlds that collide so frequently. And I know you probably all heard Doan Roshi's name and the intentions today, so I just want to make sure everybody knows she is at home recovering from a flare-up of a recurrent hip injury. She's doing really well. Rinse and Roshi's been her full-time caretaker, and they very much appreciate your intentions and also just can't individually respond to the many well wishes, but are grateful for them, and again, very much appreciate the intentions and gratitude that Doan is moving in the right direction with her healing. So today, we're going to talk about summer practice, and I was reflecting on this yesterday a little bit. I think that's a really good habit, actually, to kind of take some time at the end of each practice season and check in with how your practice is going and think about what you might need to focus on for the upcoming season. Fall Ango is in a few weeks. September 7th is the Ango opening. And I was thinking about summer and how, for me, summer has such and probably for everybody, such childhood memories associated with it, these long, lazy days of ease and playing, and I always think I'm going to get so much of these days in the summer, like that's how it's going to be. And then in reality, there's so much adulting, so much of our real lives every single day that summer just flies by, it seems like. And this summer, it feels like a lot of my practice has, and it always does, right, but centered around the precious human life and death, and then just practicing in Sangha so intensely and having so many opportunities to work with the edges of our practice together and to have so many precious, noble friends who are that reflection of what's going on. Both of my noble friends have been a mirror for me today, and I very much appreciate it. And so when we're practicing on the edge like this of our own personal edges and other people's edges, and on this life and death, precious human life, this is such an opportunity, I think, to think about that 8th grade precept and using all the ingredients. I know we all have our own individual list of ingredients. This summer for me was actually my 5-year lung anniversary. So it's been 5 years since my transplant, and yay. My doctor kind of does that for me because she was explaining to me that I'm in the 25% of people who aren't dead at 5 years and aren't in rejection. And that was, I mean, that's beautiful and it's wonderful, and it's also so sobering, right? And it's such an ingredient of my life and my practice because I never really forget that. It's hard to forget. So this summer, also 2 of my daughters moved kind of on their own, mostly on their own, not quite financially, but getting there. And that's another moment, right, of this precious human life. These are, I think they were just babies like on Tuesday, and now they have apartments and leases and jobs and relationships, and it's, I mean, it just flies, just like summer. And my mom is struggling with cancer, and her bones are full of cancer, and, practicing in that realm, thinking about how, when we're fetuses, we literally make our bones from our mother's bones. We pull the calcium and the minerals out of our mother's bones to build our own. And now my mother's bones are breaking. And the foundation of that and practicing in ease with that, despite how painful that is, has been a very powerful part of my summer. And of course, our dear friend Soke is dying also. And if these kinds of things can't get your attention to your precious human life, that would be very sad. So I'm very grateful that my circumstances allow me to practice with these things and as these things. I think I'm starting soon our third year of residency here. And so just so many opportunities to practice with the edges that come up. And I think when circumstances flare up like this, like the summer has been so intense with these life circumstances, our edges just become a lot more obvious to each other, don't they? And to ourselves, hopefully. So it feels like there's been just a tremendous amount of opportunity for that here, sort of immersed in the temple world, immersed in the Dharma, and sitting a lot of zazen, but in between having these really intense life encounters. I'm just so grateful that we have the Sangha to be with during these times. And then still, even though all this is happening, right, the churn of our lives and the practice edges and our friendships and our relationships, the life and the death and the birth, I mean, still every night the cicadas are out there. And I've said it a lot of times, I think, but I can't get over the cicadas this summer. And I also did some research. It's also tree crickets and katydids. And every night, we sleep with the window open, even when it's so hot, because falling asleep, listening to those night insects is so exquisite. It's the Dharma just flowing in the window, and it's effortless. And so then in that way, there is this ease of summer and these long, playful days, and always there, even when I'm with my mother or Soke or reflecting on my own precious life. The cicadas are just there, being cicadas, fully. I've spoken.
Take that as a blank page.
Perfect.
Excellent. Well, my name is Kaishan. Feels odd in a group talk to not start with that announcement. So this summer, in its physical form for me, actually I should start really by saying I have my entire life been very much tied to the cycle of summer and not summer, and the seasons in general, but summer especially. Not only am I a high school teacher, but I had the good fortune to become a high school teacher the moment I finished Teachers College. So this is a rhythm that goes back to when I was 4. 50 years, yeah, or so. So I know it fairly well. And I find in general the texture of my summers, and thus my practice in the summer, is shifting. And to a certain degree, this is a I'm getting old kind of thing. But I'm only getting old in that sense that I'm becoming more aware of the people, not only the people in my life who have died or are dying, but the manner in which they went into death and the manner in which they engaged in the life that they had remaining leading into it. And I'm hit with this profound sense of not wanting to do it badly. Predominantly because I know now, even in this moment, even in all the moments that have led up to now, I experience suffering, and that suffering is of my making. The suffering I have around my bad habit patterns, the suffering I have around working with my own children who have their own difficult struggles made so much more difficult by, you know, the housing market and the job market and mental health issues and what they need not necessarily lining up with what I need. And if that's my primary pattern, when the days of my life start to get colder, when that peak green, hot opportunity of life ends, and I move into the autumn, it doesn't look promising. And so again, using all the ingredients of my life, not sparing the Dharma assets, understanding the value of this training opportunity, this precious human life, I'm incredibly grateful to have stumbled, and very much this was a stumbling thing. We have forms, and the forms look very refined. You come in the door and you might see people who really look like they know what they're doing and they have it together, and in terms of those forms, they do. And we're living the same messy life in some way. And those circumstances being what they are, I come into the summer with some time, not unlike what Kensei was talking about, to reflect on, you know, what is this time that I've been given. This summer, like a number of summers in the past few years, I spent some time in residency here at the temple. As a senior student, I've been privileged to live in residency at the temple before the development of our residential program, offering myself up in some way as a lab rat for that process. And before I say anything good about it, in the midst of that life that I'm living, it's incredibly difficult. On one level, it adds more challenge to helping my children. It adds more challenge to being a present spouse, Tenmei. And from that perspective of challenge, it seems kind of ridiculous. But in the face of my own autumn, knowing that the unwholesome karmic habit patterns that I still have are not going to serve me well in that time, I'm very grateful for the opportunity not just to come and train here intensively, to have session and to be able to do residency, but for the situation that I'm in, that I have the time. It's even more difficult if I didn't find myself without a day job in the summer, or without a spouse who not only understands and supports what I do, but does what I do. And so now to say something good about how I've spent my time. This is an easier thing to translate for people who have done sesshin. In sesshin, we come into this intensive practice, and I love sesshin in the summer because the internal heat and the external heat mirror each other beautifully. Not that I notice heat or cold. I am the worst person to be responsible for the environment of the zendo or the temple. I think I've finally been relieved of all those responsibilities for the benefit of all beings. I used to spend a summer job standing out in 40 degrees? What's 40 degrees?
90s, 100s.
Okay, about 95 pre-humidex weather in the bold sunlight in a 3-layer British red coat with a big leather black hat and not move. It was beautiful. It's a great job. I had nothing but love for that. I can't even describe it as suffering. It was wonderful. And yeah, so there are sufferings that I am certainly blind to. But to come into that heat in sesshin, that same sort of heat gets raised internally. And it's not just the volume, it's where our focus is. When we come into practice, whether it's sesshin or whether it's the moments on the cushion, just in a period of zazen in the middle of the service, we are turning our attention to the function of our mind. And the mind can, untrained, just pull us from all of our good intentions, from our connectivity to each other, from our capacity for compassion. And for the simplest way to say to sesshin folk is sleep in a little more, turn the intensity from 11 to 8.5. This is residency. I highly recommend it. For those who haven't done it before, is literally just living the daily schedule, to be in a place where, if you have the means and the privilege, to be continually surrounded by all things that are pointing you back to that same moment that in zazen you realize you're somewhere else, and that instead of chasing it, using it as fuel for practice, you see it and you let it go and you come back to center. To live in a world where everything is doing that. We hear the stories of these old Buddhist stories of these God realms where things are pointing, or, everything in the universe just breathes on you and you're enlightened. Every food eaten, you're enlightened. It feels like that. And it gives me some sense of the mind that needs to be able to come up in the midst of this daily life outside of this place, because the place doesn't turn my attention back. I turn my attention back. The place reminds me, and training here over and over again, that reminder sits deeper and deeper in my skin. I've spoken too much. I have spoken.
I'm so bad at the AV. Can you hear me? Okay. I feel so fortunate to be here with my co-conspirators here this morning. Very fortunate. So my practice this summer, I have not been around the temple that much. As many of you know, my husband has Alzheimer's, and my practice is being home more often than not. So I was reflecting on this. How is my practice manifesting in this practice of caregiving? And manifest is the word. I haven't made a plan. There are times in practice where it's good to have a plan. You get to the zendo every morning or whatever it happens to be. You follow the schedule, whatever it is. But the heart of that practice of having a plan is that it's always an expression of your authenticity, right? You're not just following the rules. This is an expression of your Buddha nature. So what's going on for me with practice right now is manifestation outside of that structure. And it just, you spend a lot of years training and being on this path and getting to know your own mind, and this will just organically happen. One of the strong manifestations for me right now is the teachings of the path. You hang around here enough, those teachings kind of seep into your marrow. You're not running to the books looking up the teachings. They're in your body, right? The teachings are always embodied. We have to use words, we have to use writing because of the way our minds function, right? But really the teachings are in your body. This is why we're always turning that light of awareness inward. So one text I've been looking at, speaking of books, is the Faith Mind poem, which I really love. It's such a beautiful expression of the way that, the great way is not difficult for those who have no preferences. If you don't pick and choose, it's so easy, right? And yet, I've been around a lot of sick people. That is my life right now. And honestly, in the heart of their depression or tragedy, would I say those words? Just don't pick or choose. No, I would not, right? Because you always respond skillfully, and you always respect and honor and acknowledge the human heart, right? You always acknowledge the heartbreak. That's the first thing you do. And there are beautiful expressions acknowledging the heartbreak, right? There's a poem I carry around with me these days, Galway Canal's prayer, which is, whatever happens, whatever is what I want. Just that, but that. And in that but is that recognition of the human heart and the role of heartbreak. This is the gate to our practice. And of course, in our tradition, the famous haiku by Kobayashi Isa on the death of his young daughter, this world of dew is a world of dew, and yet, this pain is real. And in Zen, we never turn away from the pain, right? We embody it, but neither do we cling to it or stagnate it. This is just the arising of the cosmos right now. And our practice is to learn to flow with that movement of the cosmos, however it's arising. Speaking of folks in our tradition, Leonard Cohen's famous line, right? There is a crack in everything. That is how the light gets in. This is not an aberration. This situation is not a problem. This is actually how the light gets in. Or James Ford's book, If You're Lucky, Your Heart Will Break. If you're lucky, because this is the gateway to practice. Have any of us really come here because our lives are so great? Really? Most of us have come here because we are suffering, right? And of course, this is a gateway to realizing we don't have to suffer, but that doesn't mean we won't have pain in our lives. We're in this human embodiment. Of course we're going to have pain. But how do we meet that pain without the second arrow of the suffering? So we have all these beautiful expressions of that great way, this flow of life. And of course, they manifest in the teachings as the three marks of existence, right? Impermanence. Everything that comes together will fall apart. Your body will fall apart. The formations of the universe, the creations of your heart, mind, the bodies of your loved ones, all of it will fall apart. This is the true certainty of life, right? It will pass. And we recognize that our pain is real. It is real, and all things are impermanent. So impermanence, no fixed self. There is nothing substantial that is me. I am just the flow of this universe, of the cosmos. So pinch me and I will feel it. If I were to pinch Kaijin. Well, maybe it's not true. Maybe it's not true.
That's all road.
Okay, I got to prove my point here.
That's just asleep. Here you go. Ow.
Thanks, Kaishan. But still, my point is proved. He is real, right? Honestly, Kaishan. So the mystery is that we are real, and how is it that we are real? With the teachings of this and the experience and the authenticity of I am no fixed thing, how is it that I am? And I feel, when you come to the temple and maybe your suffering decreases, maybe your pain doesn't, but your suffering does. Isn't that the big question that arises then? Who am I? What is this? The unknowable, right? The unknowable, where you're actually not going to get an intellectual answer to that question. So just give up on that right now. And one aspect of this that I love is there's 8.5 billion people on the planet, 8.5 billion humans, and each one of them has a unique noticing of the cosmos. And that is not even taking into account all the other sentient beings, right? A sentient being a being that can suffer. And each one of us, this unique experience, this unique noticing. So how is it that we see? How is it that we are? And then, of course, the third mark of existence, suffering or dis-ease, when we are actually not aligned with these teachings, where impermanence, this rising and falling, is causing us anxiety and distress. And honestly, this is the way the human mind works. You will always feel the pinch, right? The teachers say that the sand in the swimsuit, that's always going to be there, because this is what our human condition provides us. And of course, it's a great impetus to practice, is it not? But what we want to do is develop that peace and ease on the inside, and of course, express it as love on the outside. Those things are not two, right? But of course, there is a way through the suffering, right? The great way is not difficult. It simply involves not picking and choosing, just being in alignment with what is. And of course, we use all the tools in the toolbox, right? John Tarrant famously said, enlightenment is an accident. Meditation makes you more accident prone. So we put ourselves on the cushion where that accident is more likely to occur. We're not clinging to it, but we're actually creating the circumstances of our life where we can pay attention, where we can be the awareness that we actually are. Reverend Kaishan is teaching 3 classes during this fall ongo on the 4 Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path. This is the toolbox in Buddhism for the alleviation of suffering. If you would rather not suffer, I greatly recommend that you come to Reverend Kaishan's class. And of course, as Kuan Yin does, we walk through the world in this body, in this life, and we respond appropriately. The doctors, the appointments, the medications, the bathing, all of the things of the caregiver. I know many of us know this path. And all of this doing is not separate. This doing and love are not separate. This is the expression of wisdom in the world, the expression of compassion in the world. So I'm not going to be disingenuous and say how much I love informal practice now that I'm practicing at home, because I have always loved informal practice. So these days, my morning zazen is on the deck as the sun is rising. The dawn chorus is just getting a little quieter. Sometimes the garbage truck is doing the rounds, and it's all perfect and complete. And some days, my mind is all over the place. Other days, my mind is just still, beautiful, however it's arising, right? And I sit on a chair. You might have noticed me struggling to sit cross-legged because I haven't been doing that. I sit in a chair and I have my coffee, and it's not the Zendo, and oh, it is the Zendo. It is the Zendo. This is beyond space and time, what we're doing, right? And body practice, I came to body practice late in my Buddhist career, and it has been such an opening for me. I truly don't think that we learn these things, we just uncover. We uncover the path, we uncover the capacity of our body. And what I do not love the heat. Reverend Kaishan and I have been arguing about this for like 15, 20 years. It's like, summer, no, give me the winter. But one thing I do love about summer is after I sit, I go out into my yard and I put my feet on the earth and I feel that energy of the earth, the energy of the sky, and I do my body practice. Plug for that, Roshi is teaching it once a month. Look on the Daily Snail. And yes, there is loss. For the first time in 15 years, I missed Jukai Shishin. And there was a pinch to that. Of course there was a pinch to that. You know, we don't become robotic when we practice for a long time. That is not the goal. The goal is we become fully human, right? Fully human. We were in the hospital that week, unexpectedly, with all that means. I know a lot of you know what this means. All of the noise and the coming and going, and the nurses who would administer the cognitive test to Roger every 4 hours, and some of them would like give me the eye and correct him. Oh no, the president of the United States is. Maybe that is one upside. You know, you forget who the president of the United States is. Probably inappropriate to say that here. But then there were the nurses who, when he failed the cognitive test, would just say, oh, that's fine. Don't worry about it. That's fine. The whole range of difficulty and this whole range of bodhisattvic activity that people are just doing their jobs, but they're doing it with such heart and connectivity. And of course, there was the yearning to be here, but I did get here for the ceremony last Sunday. And did my absence make it sweeter? Hell yes, it did. It was so sweet. You know that story of the guy who's been chased off the cliff by a tiger and he grabs onto the root of a tree, but there's mice on the top nibbling the root, and there's a tiger down at the bottom, and he is in deep trouble, right? He is going to fall. And he sees a wild strawberry growing in a crevasse in the cliff, and he pops it in his mouth. How sweet is that strawberry? And those of us who are going through difficulties know how sweet it is to practice, however that practice is manifesting, because it is the expression of our true nature, of our Buddha nature. So what I would say is I'm learning how to encounter the sorrow, because if you don't encounter the sorrow, you will not be able to encounter the joy. The affect goes across the entire spectrum. If you limit it at all, you limit the whole thing. Our job as Zen students is to encounter the whole human experience. And another great thing that happened this summer is Marie Howe's collection of poetry came out, and I would just like to end with that. This is the maples. I asked the stand of maples behind the house, how should I live my life? They said, shh, shh, shh. How should I live? I asked, and the leaves seemed to ripple and gleam. A bird called from a branch in its own tongue, and from a branch across the yard, another bird answered. A squirrel scrambled up a trunk, and then along the length of a branch. Stand still, I thought. See how long you can bear that. Stand still. See how long you can bear that. Try to stand still, if only for a few moments, drinking light, breathing. So we'll dedicate the merit of our talk to all of those who are suffering, to all of those struggling to find the path out of suffering. And of course, to all beings throughout space and time, may they come to complete and full awakening in this lifetime. May it be so.
Beings are numberless. I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to enter them. The Buddha way is unsurpassable. I vow to embody it. Beings are numberless. I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to enter them. The Buddha way is unsurpassable. thank you all for joining us today. That ends the streaming portion.